figuring out, is it a function or not? Describing functions, talking about linear, nonlinear, proportional, non-proportional, the basic stuff. Evaluating functions, that was our tables where we put in an input and evaluate, solve to get an output. Nonlinear functions, those are functions that are not straight lines, so our little parabolas. And now we're going to get into understanding functions, so like word problem type beat stuff, okay? So this table of contents is going to be very helpful on your test when the question tells you describe this function and you go, I don't know, it's kind of like a function-y function. That's not what we're talking about. You can go to describing functions and figure out exactly what it is or exactly how you need to be describing it, right? Some of us just glue this stuff in, don't write the headings. You don't know what lesson is what. Okay, Evian and Eva again. I'm talking. Okay, if you're not writing down the headings, you don't know what lesson is what. They all look the same, especially to you guys. They all just blend together, right? So we need to be writing down the headings. It's especially important with this test because we are not getting a study guide. We are not getting a practice test, okay? You guys all heard what I said? Okay, so your notebooks are what you are using, or what at least you are able to use on the test if you would like. All right, we're not getting a piece of paper with 12 problems that look almost exactly like the test problems. All right, it's too late in the year for us to be doing that. You're probably not going to get that next year, so we got to start getting used to just using what we at least can use. You probably, depending on your teacher, you won't even be able to use a notebook next year. You'll have to just go straight off the dome. But I'm going to let you use your notebook because we have all these nice printed notes. Some of us just don't really care about our notebooks. I don't know why. Some of us don't glue anything in. Some of us just keep it all loose leaf and stuff it in your backpack and lose it. It's not really going to help you out on the test, right, if you don't have everything nice and organized. I care much more about teaching you organization than teaching you math. I know that sounds crazy, but you're going to need to be organized your whole life. You're not really going to need to know how to graph a parabola after high school, right? So if you're not getting any of the math from this class and you're not getting any of the organization, you might as well not even be here. If you don't really care too much for the math, I can't force you to care. You should care about being organized, right? And learning how to be better organized. Sorry for the little rant, but it's important, okay? Before us just go, I don't really need the notes. I'm going to get a study guide, and then I'm just going to copy down what I had on the study guide on the test. Not anymore, all right? So, I was like, we already did that. Understanding functions. Like I said, this is going to be like word problem type stuff. Luckily for us, this is like the third time we've learned this lesson. I mean, I don't want to spend time going all the way back, but, right, we talked about it on December 9th, right, flat rate. We're looking for the word per. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Okay, good. We talked about it at the very beginning of the year, too. When was that? That was like, it's right here. Should be. Yeah, September 16th, rate of change. You got to find the M, find the B. Doing our little graphs like this. Sort of the same lesson, third time around, which should tell you how important it is going into high school, right? So first up, AT&T is running a promotion where they're charging $100 for a new phone, plus only $20 per month for the service. Write an equation for this function and describe it. That's the first part. I'm going to put a little 1 there. Write an equation for this function. 2, I'm going to describe it. 3, I'm going to answer this question. How much would the total cost of this promotion be after 6 months? Everybody's got a highlighter in the supply box, right? All right. We're going to highlight the pertinent or important information. There's a lot of words going on here. What information stands out to you as maybe being important when it comes to setting up an equation? The numbers. That's right, Ryan. The numbers. What numbers seem important to you? $100. Okay, what else? $20 per month. I love that you added that per month because that's going to tell us some important information here in a second. Any other numbers we should be aware of? 6 months. Okay, so when we're setting up our equation, we need 2 things. We need an M, which is my slope, or repeating number. and we need our B, which is my y-intercept slash my one-time number. All right, the question is not going to make you guess what these numbers are. It's going to give you the two numbers. It's up to you to decide which one is which. Okay, so again, what we're looking for is which of these numbers am I paying over and over and over again? The 20, the 100, or the 6? What do you guys think? Araya, what did you say? 20. How do you know that we're paying the $20 multiple times? Because it says per month. $20 per month, which means $20 this month. How much is it next month? $20. What about the month after? $20. Over and over and over again. That is my slope. 20. Okay, this is also called the unit rate, as we've talked about. So that's my M. Give me a thumbs up if you're good on being able to find the M. That's not what I was going to say per. Sometimes it'll say something like $20 each month. Is that the same thing? Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Now we got to find the one-time payment. Is there anything we have to pay just once in this scenario? $100. $100 for the new phone. Well, how many new phones do you need at one time? One. Just one. So I'm only paying this $100 one time. That is my B. So when we see the word per, when we see each, when we see every, so on and so on, that's my repeating number, right? Every month, each month, per month, all the same thing. So I have an M, I have a B. What's the first thing I need to do, right? What's the first thing I need to do now that I have that information all organized? What's my number one that I labeled in my question? What does it say to do? Write an equation. Well, if I have an M and a B, what type of equation can I write? Y equals mx plus b. Y is equal to mx plus b. It's my slope-intercept form. Okay, it's also my formula for a function. My first part. Technically, my first part was figuring out what's M and B. We can't write an equation without knowing what M and B is, so that kind of goes without saying, right? So I know that my M's 20, I know that my B's 100, I know this is the formula I need to use. So what is this formula going to turn into when I'm, quote unquote, writing my equation? What's going to now be in front of that X? 20. Because my M is 20. Plus, what's my B? 100. Thank you, Layla. 100. All right? Now, in this formula, right, this is a function. X and Y are going to stay as X and Y, but X and Y represent specific things, okay? X represents the number of months, which is why we tack that 20 onto the front of it. Right? If I only have this plan for 1 month and I'm paying $20 per month, how much am I paying for that service? $20 a month. I only have it for 1 month. How much would I pay? Ignoring the 100. $20, right? Let's ignore this for a second. If I have it for 2 months at $20 a month, what's the total there? 40. What about 3 months? 60. So when I plug in the number of months for X and multiply it by 20, that gives me my service charge, right? So that's how I know X represents the number of months. If X is the number of months, then what does Y represent? Think about it for a second. You don't have to know right off the top of your head. what might y represent here? Total cost. What makes you say that? You're right. Exactly. That's what we're going to end up solving for. How much would the total cost be? Right? If I'm paying $20 times the number of months, plus I had that $100 on the front end for the phone itself, well, this section right here is just a bunch of money. Well, if this section is equal to y, and this section is a bunch of money, then y must be my total amount of money, or my total cost, right? Understanding what x and y are is going to help us when we get down to number 3. So there's my first part. There's the actual function I'm going to use. Now that I have this function, what can I do with it? First, I'm going to do 2 things. What's the first thing I need to do based on the problem? Describe it. Well, it's got an m and it's got a b and it's got an x and a y. Is that a good description that's going to get me full credit? No. What type of description am I looking for? Is there a lesson maybe we can refer back to if we don't know off the top of our heads? Let me check my table of contents. The question asked me to describe the function. Where should I look? Hey, look at that. Describing functions. That's aptly named, isn't it? Here's 6.2. Oh, this is where I figure out if it's linear, nonlinear, proportional, and non-proportional. I think I remember how to do that. If I'm looking at this equation, does this look linear to you or nonlinear? Linear. What's the equation missing that tells me this is linear? Exponents. I don't have any exponents. I know this is linear. Now, linear can go either way. It could be proportional, it could be non-proportional. What are we looking for to determine proportionality? The b. Do we have a b value? Yeah, we figured that out at the very start. My b is 100. So is this proportional or non-proportional? What do you guys think? Non-proportional. Now, if they said they're giving you a free phone plus $20 per month, that would be proportional because there is no upfront cost. Linear, non-proportional. There's my second part. Here comes the third part. What is the third part asking me? What's the total cost after how many months? 6 months. So you're always going to be asked to evaluate. Okay, this is where we got to think, right? If x is the number of months, y is my total cost. This last sentence of my question, does it give me an x to plug in or does it give me a y to plug in? It gives me an x. It tells me 6 months, right? 6 months. And I want to know the total cost. So I don't know the cost. I don't know y. But I do know the months, which is my x. So just like when we were evaluating functions, I'm going to plug in 6 for x, and I'm just going to solve. Just like that. So this is like a combination of all the lessons that we've talked about. We're writing the function, we're describing the function, we're evaluating the function. All right? And this makes sense. If I'm paying $20 a month for 6 months, what's 20 times 6? 120. Okay, so my service cost, just to keep my phone on and active and able to make calls and go online and everything like that, that costs $120. Is that the only thing I paid for, though? No, what else did I have to pay? I had to pay $100 for the phone. So the total cost after 6 months would be what? What was it? 2,200, a little bit too high, but yeah, 220. Yeah, 2,200 would be, that's 2,200. I know you were right. If you were writing it down, you would have the right thing. That's what you were saying, right? Yeah, good job. 220. Do I need anything on that 220 per chance? Units. What are my units? 220 phones? 220 gigabytes? Months? $220. Good job. It's asking me for the total cost. right? So if you don't know what the units are, go back to the question. How much would the total cost be? $220. After notes. So those are my 3 parts. Writing the function, describing the function, that's the easy part hopefully, and evaluating the function. What questions can I answer about all of that? Quick show of thumbs, how we feeling understanding wise? Thumbs up, we're understanding it. I'm trying to break it down as simple as possible. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I appreciate it. So when we get worksheet 60, the front side has got a bunch of these types of problems, right? Verizon's running a promotion, basically the same thing as our notes with different numbers. Brenda's got a dog walking business with a pickup fee. Justin's building PCs. He's got a flat rate plus 40 an hour. Kendra's making cookies to sell, all that type of stuff. So the same 3-step process for all those problems. That's going to be good practice for us, especially going into the test next week. Probably on, well, we're not going to be here on Friday. Maybe Tuesday we'll take the test? Monday or Tuesday? Nah, I don't want to give a test on Monday. We'll do Tuesday. So, the second type of word problem we're going to see is like this. Okay, we've got a table and we've got a graph. So it's a little bit different, but the idea is basically the same. Can I get a volunteer to read this question out for everybody? Nice and loud? No? You're going to make me say it? All right. The amount of water in a pool being filled is represented by the function y equals 40x, where y is the number of gallons inside the pool after x minutes. Fill out the table, sketch a graph, and describe the function. Okay? It tells me 3 things to do. First thing, fill out the table. Second thing, sketch my little graph. And third thing, describe the function. Okay, a lot of times the reason why people don't like word problems is because there's too much going on and you don't know what to do first. That's why it's a good strategy for us to use to number exactly what it's asking us to do. I need to fill out the table first, then I'm going to sketch my graph, then I can describe my function. All right? Do I need to write the function here like we did before? Do I need to figure out what y equals mx plus b is supposed to be? No? Do we know what y equals mx plus b is, what the function equation is? Yeah, what is it? Is it in the question maybe? Y equals 40x. That's my function. I'm going to write it down here. All right? Now, when we have a table, it helps us understand things a little bit better, right? Because what does x represent here? Time in minutes. It says right there on the table. So what does y represent? The gallons of water filled in the pool, right? So if I look at this function, this tells me y, the gallons of water, sure, the gallons of water is equal to 40 times the number of minutes that have gone by. So 40 gallons in the first minute, 40 more gallons in the second minute, 40 gallons in the third minute, on and on and on, right? So after 0 minutes of filling the pool, how many gallons of water are there? Think about it for a second. 40 gallons a minute. 0 minutes have passed by. 0. Thank you. What about 1 minute passed by? How many gallons we got? 40. What about 2 minutes? 80. Let's keep going. 3 minutes. 120. 4 minutes. 160. What about 5 minutes? 200. Let's add that extra little box down there because we can. What was the first thing I needed to do again? Fill out the table. Right? See that? Number 1, fill out the table. Did we just fill out the table? Perfect. Let's do number 2. Number 2 says we got to sketch a graph. Well, if I need to sketch a graph, I need points, right? I need a line, so I need points on that line. Where can I find a bunch of points to plot on this graph? On the table. Each of these little rows is a point, so I should be able to have 6 points here. All right? Let's take this first point, 0, 0. Again, like we said, x is my minutes, Y is my gallons of water. So where's that first point going to be? At the origin. Right down here? Yeah. 0, 0. My next point is 1, 40. All right? Now you may be thinking, oh, I'm only going over 1, so I'm going to go, boom, right here. Why wouldn't that be correct? Why wouldn't I just go over right here? It's like 0.5, right? I'm looking for the 1. I'm not counting the notches. The notches are all going to be different. I'm looking for 1 minute, and I'm going to go up to how many gallons of water? 40. That's this point, 1, 40. This yellow point lines up at 1, lines up at 40. What's my next point going to be? 2, 80. I'm going to go over 2. I'm going to go up to 80. Boom. What about my fourth point? 3, 120. I'm going to go over to 3. I'm going to go up to 100. Where would 120 be? On the very tip top, 2 more spaces up, right? So we have to pay attention. It's called the scale of the graph. The number's going up the left side. The number's going across the bottom. We're not just counting notches like we normally would when we're graphing a line. We're actually looking for the number that we need. Can I plot my last 2 points? No, why not? We don't have space. The graph's not big enough. So we're just going to stop right there. That's plenty points that we need. I know you guys don't have rulers, but you do have ID cards, so if you want to grab that out, or any sort of straight line, credit card, whatever you have. I doubt you guys have credit cards, but there's my little line. Okay? Am I done? Can I close my notebook and move on with my life? No. What's the third thing I need to do? Describe. Okay, we already went back in our notebook and looked for where describing is going to be. Here it is down here. Linear or non-linear? Give me a thumbs up if you think this function is linear. Give me a thumbs down if you think it's non-linear. That's right. My thumb should be up all the way. This is linear. How can I tell by the graph? Straight line. Easy. Now, proportional or non-proportional? Give me a thumbs up for proportional, thumbs down for non-proportional. What do we think? Good. We all have our thumbs up again. How can we tell this is proportional? There's 2 ways we can tell. It goes through the origin and is a straight line like we know. What's another way that we could tell? There's no b. If I look at my equation, here we had a b value on the end. Here we don't have a b value on the end. So whether we're just given the equation or just given the graph, we can tell. If we're given both, even better. Linear and proportional. Alrighty. Now on the back side of worksheet 60, oops, where is it? Here it is. On the back side of worksheet 60, we're going to get practice with those types of problems. Alright? But look at number 5. What's the first sentence in number 5 say? Your piggy bank currently has how much inside? $30. Each week you add $10 from your allowance into your piggy bank. You guys see already what the difference is between that one and the one in our notes? What's the difference? Well, how many numbers do I have here? I got 2 numbers. That's weird. You guys will figure it out. I'm sure you guys know what to do.